Picture two people standing in the same living room, looking at the exact same economic landscape, but seeing two completely different realities. On one side is a baby boomer born in 1952 who bought their first home at 24 for $30,000. On the other side is a Gen Z young adult born in 2002, staring at a housing market where the median home price tops $400,000 while real entry-level wages remain stagnant. It is not just a light-hearted debate over avocado toast or workplace etiquette. It is a fundamental clash of worldviews forged by drastically different historical moments, technological revolutions, and economic frameworks. Why do these two generations, separated by half a century, seem to live in entirely different universes? To understand the massive cultural divide defining the 21st century, we have to look past the superficial internet memes and dive deep into the economic numbers, historical milestones, and psychological shifts that built this massive generational rift. Baby boomers, defined by the United States Census Bureau as those born between 1946 and 1964, came of age during an era of unprecedented post-World War II economic expansion. In 1970, as early boomers entered the workforce, the median American home price was approximately $23,400, while the median household income was around $9,800. A single income could reasonably support a family, purchase a suburban home, and cover higher education at state universities like the University of California, Berkeley, where annual tuition was under $300. Fast forward to Generation Z, defined as those born between 1997 and 2012. Gen Z spent their early years witnessing the fallout of the 2008 Great Recession, grew up alongside acute climate anxiety, and entered adulthood during a disruptive global pandemic in 2020. By 2024, median home prices skyrocketed to over $420,000, while average annual tuition at public four-year universities surpassed $11,000. This shift contributed to a staggering national student loan debt total of $1.7 trillion. Boomers inherited an era defined by institutional trust, expanding middle-class wealth, and physical community spaces. Gen Z inherited an era defined by institutional skepticism, hyper-financialization, and an endlessly connected digital landscape managed by algorithmic social media platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. The core of this divergence crystallized through major historical turning points over the past several decades. Consider November 1980, when the election of Ronald Reagan ushered in a dramatic shift toward deregulation, corporate restructuring, and neoliberal economic policy. For boomers in their 20s and 30s, this economic era fueled massive stock market growth and home equity accumulation. According to Federal Reserve data, by 2023 baby boomers held over 50% of all total wealth in the United States, despite representing roughly 20% of the population. Conversely, Gen Z currently holds less than 1% of total national wealth. The cultural friction escalated rapidly during the digital revolution. On June 9, 2007, Apple founder Steve Jobs stood on stage in San Francisco and announced the first iPhone, fundamentally changing human social interaction forever. For boomers, technology was a tool introduced later in life to improve workplace efficiency. For Gen Z, who were infants or children during the smartphone rollout, digital connectivity is the ambient environment in which reality is experienced. This distinction manifested intensely during the rapid workplace shifts following March 2020. Boomers, accustomed to corporate norms established in the 1970s and 1980s, viewed physical office attendance as the ultimate metric of dedication, discipline, and professional grit. Gen Z, entering the professional world in a remote or hybrid environment, viewed rigid office presence as an arbitrary relic that sacrificed personal well-being for superficial optics. Furthermore, corporate loyalty eroded completely. In 1980, remaining at a single company like General Motors or IBM for 30 years yielded a guaranteed pension and job security. By 2022, data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics revealed that younger workers stay at jobs for an average of 2 to 3 years, recognizing that switching employers provides the primary mechanism for wage growth in an era where internal raises fail to keep up with cumulative inflation. Sociologists and historians offer several compelling theories to explain why these two cohorts maintain such contradictory worldviews. A prominent framework is the Strauss-Howe generational theory, introduced by Neil Howe and William Strauss in their 1991 book, Generations. They argue that American history moves in cyclical 80-year cycles called secula, divided into 4 generational turnings. Under this theory, boomers represent a profit generation born during a high era of post-war stability, driving individual self-expression and cultural reform. Gen Z represents an artist generation, coming of age during a crisis era marked by institutional decay, systemic instability, and fundamental economic restructuring. Another major angle comes from psychological research conducted by experts like Dr. Jean Twenge, author of iGen. Her extensive studies demonstrate that Gen Z is the first generation in history to experience adolescence entirely shaped by smartphones and social media. This constant connectivity produced unprecedented levels of hyper-awareness regarding global crises, mental health struggles, and systemic inequalities. While boomers frequently attribute Gen Z's workplace boundaries and economic pessimism to personal entitlement or lack of resilience, economic data suggests that Gen Z is making rational choices based on mathematical reality. When adjusted for inflation, housing costs have surged by over 150% since 1970, while the federal minimum wage in the United States has remained frozen at $7.25 per hour since July 2009. The exact financial pathways that rewarded hard work 50 years ago are simply no longer operational in today's landscape. When we examine the structural context, it becomes clear that neither generation is inherently wrong or morally flawed. Baby boomers operate on a cognitive model forged by post-war prosperity, tangible asset growth, and predictable corporate ladders. Gen Z operates on a cognitive model forged by digital saturation, financial instability, and fluid, non-traditional careers. What looks like entitlement or fragility to a boomer is often Gen Z's strategic adaptation to an economic landscape where standard milestones have been heavily delayed. What looks like insensitive nostalgia to Gen Z is often a boomer's recollection of an era where personal effort yielded immediate, measurable upward mobility. As the demographic shift accelerates, bridging this divide becomes essential. By 2030, Gen Z will account for 30% of the global workforce, while boomers initiate the largest wealth transfer in human history, an estimated $84 trillion set to pass down over the next 2 decades. Whether this transition produces mounting cultural friction or productive intergenerational collaboration depends on our willingness to replace judgment with systemic understanding. What do you think is the primary cause of the gap between Gen Z and boomers? Do you believe economic factors or technological shifts play the bigger role? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the hidden forces shaping our culture.